lead together, embrace change, enhance everyone's journey. The 3 core principles of SmartStop. A leader in self-storage real estate across North America. Reinforce why we're proud to bring you SheEO Lead-In, the podcast featuring curated conversations with powerful women sharing their impactful wisdom. It's a self-knowledge, self-discovery, and self-preneurship audio storage vault created by and for women. SmartStop's presentation of SheEO Lead-In begins right now.
Welcome. Today we're here with LaWana Richmond from You're an Afrofuturist. Could you explain what that is? I think our listeners are going to say, what in the world is that?
So, let me start by saying the term has a lot of definitions. It's been around since the early 90s, and it was actually coined, you might be surprised by this, by a white guy. And he was curating a collection of essays on cyberculture, and he decided his chapter would be called Black to the Future. And he posited that art, literature, music, social theory that centers African Americans, particularly in a technologically augmented reality, could be referred to as Afrofuturism. And then the people he was talking about got a hold of the term and infused social justice in theory. And then there's this West African principle called Sankofa, which is the connection between the past, present, and future. That was also kind of infused into it. And now, you'll see art exhibits, movies like the film Black Panther could be considered Afrofuturism. Mm-hmm. Some of George Clinton's music, Parliament, Funkadelic, that kind of stuff. Basquiat, some of his work.
What about Prince?
Oh, absolutely.
My favorite of all time. Oh, yes. I'm a child of the 80s.
Okay, I gotcha.
Favorite all time. What a loss.
So what's your favorite Prince song?
I don't know, probably 1999, just because it was such, I don't know. I like When Doves Cry too. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Honestly, I just felt that his music was so different. And, everyone likes Michael Jackson, but I saw Prince in concert like 3 times. And the way he could jump from the ground up onto the piano was unbelievable to me. Seriously unbelievable.
Especially being such a little guy.
I know. Honestly, he was so, really, I wouldn't say an acrobat, but more like, I said this earlier, kind of like a ninja. He just was on the ground one moment and then he's up on top. And I'm thinking, how does he even do that? He had a lot of back problems, but we're getting off topic, but I felt like he was Afrofuturistic.
Yeah, him, Janelle Monáe. There are a lot of groups and a lot of, different works. Right now, the organization I work most closely with is the Black Speculative Arts Movement, where we have writers, statisticians, actuarials, scholars.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Painters.
Just kidding.
We travel sometimes. Recently, we did an event in Dakar.
Wow,
so,
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what you do, but you do other things. Tell us a little bit about your history. I feel you're, I wouldn't say a jack of all trades, but a Jacqueline of all trades. I don't know. You do a lot.
I'm a little Renaissance-y.
Yeah, I think so.
So when I was younger, honestly, I was inspired a lot by Leonardo da Vinci and the fact that he was a master of so many different trades and disciplines. But I was a nerdy kid. Recently, I took my mom to the library to get a Chromebook. And it was the library that I used to go to when I was a little kid.
Wait, where'd you grow up?
In Claremont.
Okay. San Diego girl. Mm-hmm. Me too.
And so we're at this library. And I remember when I was a kid, and I would take a wagon because I was going to bring a lot of books. And it seemed like such a big place, right?
Yeah.
And now that, I'm an adult, I'm looking at it, looks very small, but it's still very functional. I think libraries still deserve a lot of love.
Oh, they do. And, I go and I talk to a lot of kids groups and then I always say, well, how much do you think I read a week? And they're like, I don't know, 100 pages. I go, thousands of pages. And I think, and I said to them, I say this to them often, one of the things that you really have to focus on is reading things and learning things because you're going to do it even when you're my age. and they're actually surprised about that, which surprises me.
Well, to be fair, some people do decide to stop learning.
Well,
it doesn't work out well for them, though.
I agree with that. You're right.
But I do want to stress that Afrofuturism is really inclusive futurism, because in envisioning alternate futures or revisiting history, it's not about trying to trade places with people who did bad things. It's about how to reimagine society in a way where everybody can thrive.
Well, and that is, I was talking about this earlier. It's all about collaboration and honestly celebrating the strengths of each one of us, because it is very different. I mean, we all have strengths. They do well together when they're actually knit with each other. So I love that you mentioned that too. So how long have you been in your current career, and what does a day even look like for you?
So I think I've been actively engaged in Afrofuturism since late 2017.
Okay.
And I had been exploring, the field and the genre before I even knew what the name of it was. But in 2017, I decided I was going to start doing some things about it. In terms of what a day looks like for me, it really depends on what's already on the calendar. But a lot of times it might be I get a phone call from someone somewhere in the world about what's happening there, what they're working on, or I get invited to speak somewhere, or I'm reaching out to someone asking them to include their art in an exhibit I'm curating, or to perform at a show, or to teach a class.
I was actually just at, kind of interestingly enough, I think it's Voices of Our City, which is a group of homeless folks. And it was interesting because they actually were talking about the history of music. And a lot of it had to do with folks that were, your culture. And the fact, honestly, it was the way that they presented it all was so interesting. I honestly was blown away how they all brought it together. And, the guy gets on there and he's talking about the story and he's kind of singing. It was really cool. I loved the way that it worked together.
Yeah, I've seen them perform. They're really good.
Yeah, they're really
an
good.
Excellent group.
But I think a lot of it, again, back to bringing people together, bringing all of our culture together to make different parts of it is so interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, the reason that I really got into Afrofuturism is that while I have a great deal of respect for history and I do my best to stay on top of current events, I think having that knowledge is only useful if you use it to make better decisions.
Right. Yeah, because history does and can repeat itself.
Yes.
So yeah, you don't want to make the same mistakes
Right.
over and over. That wouldn't be very smart because again, you're not learning and your outcomes could actually be worse the second time around.
Well, I mean, and the other part, you're familiar with Alice in Wonderland.
Yep.
And there's that famous scene where she goes to the Cheshire Cat and she says, "Which way do I go?"
Yep.
And the cat says, "Where are you trying to go?" She says, "I don't know." So the cat says, "Any road will get you there." It doesn't matter. If you don't know where you're going, it doesn't matter what you do. And so thinking and being intentional about the future, even if you what do they say? Shoot for the stars and, maybe you'll land on the moon, but you still did pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think, having, taking the time to imagine something different rather than just complaining about what is.
Agreed. So let's talk a little bit about success and failure. What does that look like to you?
Wow. So, I mean, there's different kinds of success. Sometimes success means the event that I organized went well and was well attended and people had a good time. And other times success is like when someone who maybe was engaged in something that I did 10 years ago comes to me and tells me how it changed them. Or a student who came to one of my shows talks about how they got work in the industry doing inking or coloring for comic books, or got commissioned to do work for some company.
Because of the seeds that you planted.
Or just the opportunity to meet people in these different industries.
That's really cool. So let's talk a little bit about being a female leader. Do you oftentimes or ever have men resist that, or? Oh,
so
the look on your face kind of tells me a lot.
So I'll go back to like my career before, because I retired from UCSD recently.
Yeah.
And there were times when I was like the project manager, and a software development company would come in to the conference room, and they would go and start talking to the tallest white man in the room.
Interesting.
And, inevitably they would get steered to me, but it never occurred to them to really think about like, who are they meeting with and understanding what they're doing. And there's always the assumption that like I was the assistant.
Wow. So it's not just in politics.
No, it's not just in politics. I had a person coach me actually. At one point, I was staff advisor to the UC Board of Regents. And so we sat at the table with the regents and were able to engage in the discussion. One of my mentors told me to never take my laptop out during the meeting. And I asked her why. And she said, because if you take your laptop out, people will think you're a staffer. They will assume you're just there to take notes.
Interesting. And no, you weren't ready to take notes. You're ready to run the darn meeting. I love it. So resistance in leading men, have you had that or no?
I think the worst case is when I was taking over a department and there was a man who was so adamant about not working for me that he transferred to another department.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
because he was threatened by you, or?
I don't know if it was he didn't like me, he didn't think I would do a good job. Maybe he was offended because he wasn't the person put in the leadership position. I'll never know. I didn't interrogate it. I just moved on.
Yeah.
The most of the time when I manage a team, my goal is to develop those people so that they can be leaders themselves.
Right.
And so I guess he missed out because he's still kind of doing what he was doing.
Oh, well, that's kind of telling. And sometimes I think people are their own worst enemies when they are not open to things that are outside of their comfort zone. Interesting. So let's talk a little bit about role models, mentors. Do you have any? And by the way, I believe that you can learn a lot from people of what not to do than actually the same and kind of the same amount that, that I like how they manage things and how they run their meetings or whatever. So share a little bit about your thoughts on that.
So I've had the good fortune to have some really good teachers, leaders, role models, and mentors. Many of them I'm still in touch with. A couple of weeks ago, I actually gave one of my professors from my freshman year. We hung out and I drove her around because her car was in the shop.
Nice.
Yeah, but I think the big thing is to be open. I think they say there's a saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And quite often we don't take advantage of the opportunities to learn that are around us all the time. Like today I was on the phone with a friend of mine. He's a Newbery and Caldecott award-winning children's book author. And I have an interest in understanding how to change my messaging to better reach younger children and get the idea of thinking intentionally about the future ingrained at an earlier age. And he was happy to share some ideas with me, and we may end up making a book.
I love that. Well, when you said Caldecott, I was thinking, I think that is children's books.
Yeah.
I remember Where the Wild Things Are. That was one of my favorite books of all time. I can't remember the author's name, but you know what? I love that you're talking about our kids, because I think there is such a difference of when we grew up and what our kids are thinking about today.
Oh, for
sure. A lot of them are very fearful now. I think the pandemic changed a lot of how they were raised to be more spontaneous and more courageous and kind of explore things, right?
Well, these kids, this generation of kids in the K through 12 system, for them, school shootings are normal.
I know, it's terrible.
I think the only school shooting I remember as a child was like when Brenda Spencer, the I Hate Mondays thing happened.
Yeah.
And it was so shocking and isolated, and it was it didn't happen again, so it wasn't something that people really need. We were more worried about earthquake drills.
Yeah.
And now kids have to know they do active shooter drills and trainings. And so I can only imagine, if you're a child and you're thinking constantly about that, having hope for the future is really difficult.
Well, and then you turn on the television, and it's a lot of screaming and a lot of fighting and less people actually working together for the common good of a community.
The adults are like not modeling we're trying to teach them to be good citizens and be good to their neighbors. And then they look at the adults like acting like psychos. And then you have, people who, talk about how bad things are or how bad things were. And they don't teach that, like, you get to choose, like, how it's going to be. Like, you are the future. You're going to be an adult one day, and you're going to be making decisions about how you work with the people around you.
I have a very small reach in my community, but I talk to a lot of kids. The two things I always tell them: make sure you pick up your trash because we like a clean community. But the second thing I always tell them is to be kind to one another, and especially the spicy people.
Yeah.
And they look at me and I go, the ones that are cranky, the ones that are, having a bad day, because guess what? When you're kind to them, you could literally change their entire day.
Yeah.
Even with just a smile.
Yeah.
I go, don't get too close if it's kind of too spicy. I go, but you know what? You get to make a difference in someone's day. You get to make a difference in the world, even if it's just your little part of the community.
Well, like the things like please and thank you and may I. Like, yes. I remember as a child playing a game called like Mother May I. Mm-hmm. And, may I take 2 steps forward?
Yes, you may.
Exactly.
I remember, yeah.
And it drilled in like manners.
Yeah.
And
yes.
now, and so like, to go back to Afrofuturism, a big part of it is like how we look at the world, remembering that, what it isn't what it could be,
right,
or what it has to be.
Okay, we're going to take a quick pause for a Smart Stop to hear from our sponsor.
SmartStop knows the winning connection is when we elevate success together. SmartStop Self Storage, a California company with nearly 200 properties and over 15 million square feet of rentable storage in the US and Canada, is committed to positively impacting the communities we serve on the national and local level. By aligning our core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey with local initiatives. To learn more about our core values, our locations, and career opportunities, please visit us at smartstopselfstorage.com.
So let's explore that a little bit about our future, our kids, and what we're teaching them and how we can make a difference.
I think a big part of it is getting the earlier children learn their ABCs. And when I say ABCs, they learn that they are in control of their actions, their behaviors, and their choices.
Yep.
And a lot of adults haven't figured that out yet. But the more you understand, so I'm going to get a little theoretical and then I'll
go
get
ahead.
back.
You go for it.
But the more you understand your own individual, like self-efficacy and agency and understand that your imagination is the key to many things, then we start to have creative choices and responsible choices. A lot of times people aren't accountable for the things that they do because they haven't really internalized their own impact.
Interesting way to look at that. And, I think and I always try to think about this, every single choice that I make, and I always tell my kids this, could have an unintended consequence if you're not thinking about it and thinking about every single thing that could actually happen based on your choice.
And the other part too is to not be frozen by that.
Yeah.
Because some people go into like the overthinking process. Like when you think about steering a ship, they don't just like set one course and then walk away because it's heading in the direction. They're constantly making corrections.
Yep.
And I think being mindful and understanding that we as a society and as individuals can make corrections. And sometimes we overcorrect and we have to make another correction. And that it's okay to not be right all the time.
and admit when you aren't.
Yeah.
Admit when you aren't. And I think that's so transparent, and a lot of people won't do it because they think it's a failure. It's not a failure. It's actually, in my opinion, something to be very respected. When you make a mistake, tell on yourself. I actually laugh about it sometimes. I go, well, I blew that one, because it's authentic. It's real.
I believe like being able to say, I don't know is a superpower.
It is.
I mean, we've been taught that we have to know everything. And then understanding that almost everything that is began in somebody's imagination.
Right.
And so how do we continue to keep that creative spark alive so that we can continue to create cool stuff and cool solutions and, good songs like Prince did?
Oh, yeah, I love Prince. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about lessons, because I think you have a lot of lessons that you've learned over the years. What are some that you would share with our listeners today that you really have impacted your life in a very, it could be even positive or negative, to be honest, because I think we do learn also, okay, don't do that again.
Like, don't put your finger in the socket.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do that. Don't put your hand in the fire, all those things. What are some lessons you've learned?
I think probably the thing that has served me the best, I mentioned the professor that I was riding around with. One of the ways that she really impacted me, because I used to be super shy. Like, I was the girl that walked around with my head in a book so that I didn't have to make eye contact with anyone. Yeah.
Now that I find hard to believe.
And so the way that I broke out of that is she recognized it, and I guess she recognized some other things in me and encouraged me to get involved in student organizations. Mm-hmm. And as a student, being in the organization, the focus became about, how do we make this fashion show work? How do we, and then in doing that work and working with other people, I got more comfortable. And, one day I actually spoke at the sports arena to a crowd of like 15,000 people.
Wow. See, and you know what? A lot of people don't even know this. Public speaking is the biggest fear of literally everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you've been doing it for a long time. If it's your first time or thousandth time, it can be very daunting. But I feel like if you're ready to do it because you know your subject matter, it becomes very natural, and you practice, also.
And sometimes the quietest people have like the greatest things to say. Like I've learned, like when running meetings, to pay attention to who's not saying anything. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the person who's not saying anything, they're holding back the reason that everybody's choice and direction really won't work. Or they have an idea that would make everything way better, but they're just hesitant. And so I always try to remember to call out and, give space to the people who are quieter.
That's really good advice, because you're absolutely right. A lot of people are too shy or think, well, I don't want to be judged. Guess what? Go ahead and be judged. Because I call it spitballing. I know it's kind of a gross term, but spitballing is honestly where the best ideas come, because you're sharing them, and then there are other ideas that can actually true that up or make that even better. And, again, that's collaboration.
So there's an old commercial I remember with as a kid, and it was like, two people are walking and they bump into each other. Mm-hmm. And one person says, "You got your peanut butter on my chocolate."
I knew you were going to say this.
And the person says, "You got my chocolate, your chocolate on my peanut butter."
Yes,
and then they taste it, and it's delightful, right? And I think
peanut butter cups.
Yeah, and that's life. I mean, a lot of times, two people have their idea of what they like or what they're doing, and they get together and end up making something that's really cool.
Agreed. I love that analogy, because it brings it down to such an easy, digestible idea
Literally
of how
digestible.
That works. Yeah, pardon the fun on that one. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So how fun is that to think of it in such an easy term? Do you talk to a lot of kids? I feel like you could be really inspiring.
And I probably talk too much. I do a lot of public speaking. To the point where people can call me. I've been at events where like somebody didn't show up and they're like, "Can you talk for 5 minutes about whatever it is?" And
that's good.
Yeah.
You just kind of go with it. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. So why did you get into all of this? Like, what was the one thing where you can look back and go, you know what? I knew it was all going to happen, that I would be on this journey because...
Okay, so I have to tell the truth. I didn't know I was going to be on this journey. It's all been
very organic.
Just academically, I studied marketing, operations, information systems, and educational leadership.
Yeah, that is a very
right. And it was every time it was just a choice depending on what was important to me in that moment when I was deciding like what I wanted to study. And then in the interim, I got all kinds of like certifications and just random things like social media, project management, process improvement, restorative. Like a lot of just I like to learn, and it all kind of combines. And then really, I do this work because I care. And like the thing that really inspired me or motivated me in 2017 is working at a university and seeing students being injured in the process of like protesting some of the violence that was happening to young people. And I agreed with them that the violence needs to stop. I also wanted them to find ways to pour that energy into the future, because there's only so many times you can say to someone, please stop doing something, and they don't stop, that, maybe you should stop talking to them about their behavior and look at like what you can do.
Look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Because we are all part of it. I know it sounds cliche, but the truth is that we can only control ourselves.
Right.
And there are so many people that don't really understand that. It's true.
Because if you've decided that you don't like me,
yeah,
I could beg you to like me. I could make PowerPoint presentations about how wonderful I am. But if you've decided that you don't like me, I'm really wasting a lot of time and energy when there are like all these other people in the world that I could work with who love me. And you might not like me, but what if I have to work with you? Yeah.
Like for instance, if you're an
Absolutely.
elected, and you've got to figure out how to get along with people. At the end of the day, you can sit there and not work with the team that you're forced to work with, or
find the common ground.
That's right, 100%. And you know what? That takes a lot of talent, but it also takes a lot of patience, but also having that big vision of what you want to accomplish.
But you'll never find the common ground if you focus on the point of opposition.
Exactly. Oh, I love where this conversation's going, because let's look at right now, like everything that's happening in our world. It's very much us versus them. It's not us versus them. It's us. If we're wanting someone else to fail because we don't like them, my gosh, that means we all fail. We literally all fail.
I think that right now we're in a time where we need to look at our strengths and go to our strengths and focus. One of the things I just told a young person this morning, actually, because we set up an exhibit in City Hall for Black History Month. Mm-hmm. And I told him that, during the Great Depression, we also had the Harlem Renaissance.
Yeah.
Those two things happened at the same time. And so we can focus on the things that we have no control over,
right,
or we can create really cool stuff that, helps to bring a little bit of joy into the world and helps to move us closer to where we want to be as a people and a society.
And that is, we do need to cohabitate. And why not do it well?
Mm-hmm.
Why not crush it? Why not care about one another?
Right.
Because we can. And it's, again, we only have control over one person, and
right.
It's ourselves.
And most people are good people.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
yes.
and I think the problem is the people that are like bad actors, they're just so loud and noisy and visible that we sometimes forget that there are really good people in this world.
I love that. And I love that ending so much, I can't even begin to tell you. LaWana, this has been amazing.
Oh, well.
But one last thing,
Okay.
What is next for you? Because I do want to hear what's next.
So today is, today's the 17th.
Yeah.
So I had an art exhibit open today. I was just coming from putting the finishing touches on that.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow I'm doing a talk for the Black Staff Association at UC San Diego on 100 years of the U.S. presidency through an Afrofuturist lens.
Mm-hmm.
On the 19th, I'm doing a talk at this place called Heart Space on, it's like I'm doing an Afrofuturism dream tank on how to create and build community in a better way. Next week, on the 25th, at Rady Children's Hospital, I'll be talking about the future of work through an Afrofuturist lens. Mm-hmm. And then in the evening of the 25th, I'll be at UCSD's Great Hall doing a global forum, and a forum on the global impact of Afrofuturism. So that's this month. We'll see what happens next.
I don't even know how you can actually remember your schedule like that. I find that amazing.
That's just this, because that's kind of prevalent. And then I have an event I've been doing since 2018 called the Afrofuturism Lounge. I do it every year during San Diego Comic-Con. It's called it's Afrofuturism Lounge, and it's taking place on the 23rd of July at the Fleet Science Center.
And where do people find out about that? On the Fleet Science Center website? You could.
Right now, I think we're still updating it, but it's on a website called Afrofuturismlounge.com.
Okay. All right. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll be seeing each other in the future, and really appreciate your contributions today. And truly about people getting along, because it really, we don't want to have, reliving the past. We definitely need to learn from that. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
The incredible curated SheEO conversation you just enjoyed was brought to you by SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate and a company that upholds its core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey. To learn more about SmartStop, please visit smartstopselfstorage.com.
Cloudcast Media.